Robert Halfon, you must be delighted with the news about the investment, £23 million into Harlow.
I'm over the moon. I worked very hard in Parliament over the last 2 or 3 years to not only to make sure that we were in line for the money, because obviously every town in the country is bidding for those funds, but also that we actually got a bid from the government. And I made a pledge at the election. I put it out in my leaflets to residents saying that we had a chance of getting up to £25 million if the government was re-elected, and we got 23.7 million. And so there was some hairy moments on the way, especially in the last few days before they announced the bid, but it's great news from the government. This is government money, but I also must give huge thanks to the Chief Executive Harlow Council, Brian Keane, but particularly Jane Greer and her team, because they had to prepare the bid and work on it for years, and we had a Harlow Town Centre board as well. So I give thanks to all those people who made the bid possible, but it's going to be fantastic for the regeneration of our town centre.
Because that's important with Harlow. There are these multi-agency groups who, across the board, who work day in, day out for the betterment of Harlow, isn't there?
Yes, and often people don't know about them because they're behind the scenes. So they see me as the MP, they see what I do in Parliament, and Your Harlow will cover that, but they're often unseen heroes behind the scenes, heroes and heroines behind the scenes. And really the council officials, as I said, Jane Greer, they're the unseen heroes of this. But at the end of the day, it's amazing. It's going to help hugely with the regeneration of Harlow. It's a big sum of money. And I'm glad the government is investing in Harlow yet again.
Timescale?
Well, the money's coming in. Obviously, you can't. The old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. But I know I have Your Harlow on my back if we don't deliver. But you rightly, as the editor of Your Harlow, you say, what are you going to keep your promises to the public that you made? This is a promise kept, a pledge kept. And so this money is going to come in over the next few years. There will be major changes. There's real money there. There's going to be real development, and I'm very, very excited about it. The council will unveil the plans soon to the public about what's actually going to happen with the timeline.
Two of my neighbours, I signed their mortgage documents. If a mortgage for a house is going to be in Haverhill, they said £190,000. It's much cheaper, much etc. than Harlow. And also, as two 25-year-olds, they're concerned about crime in Harlow. So isn't that a shame if we almost have a drain of people born and brought up in Harlow who feel it's not the place for them?
It's incredibly sad when anyone leaves Harlow. I moved here, and I wasn't brought up here. I moved here to the constituency in January 2000, I think it was, February 2000, after I was originally selected all those years ago as parliamentary candidate in November 1999. I think it is the greatest place in Britain to live. I'm very proud to be here. People are moving to Harlow. I did my usual surgery, MP surgery this morning, albeit online because of COVID, and I met a lady who's just moved to Harlow. There are lots of people coming here. Hundreds of millions of pounds are being invested in the town. The Advanced Manufacturing Centre, we're going to get a new hospital, just had this nearly £24 million for the town regeneration. Lots of people are coming to Harlow. It is a wonderful place to live. Of course we have problems. Of course there are difficulties, but we've got more police on our streets. We've had a commitment from the Police and Crime Commissioner for Essex. We've got huge amounts of regeneration, and whilst it's incredibly sad if people leave, I actually think over the next few years you'll see a lot more people coming to Harlow to benefit from the economy, from our culture, and all the wonderful things that Harlow can offer.
81,808 vaccinations have been given in Harlow. The number of people with COVID has been under 10 in Harlow for a long time now. If there are any changes to June the 21st, that's kind of, a lot of people in Harlow might well be bewildered, won't they?
Well, I'd be gutted if there's a delay. It's very hard because the government have got to walk this awful tightrope between opening up the economy again and getting people back to work, as in, not they've not been working, but in the workplace. We're just with the railway minister, and he was talking about the railways, need to have people using the railways again. So it's a very difficult choice. The difference now, of course, is that, as you say, and I expect Your Harlow to know the exact figure, as you've just pointed out, so many people have had the vaccination, and lots of people have had the second vaccination. I had mine about 3 weeks ago, and it's an incredible feeling. incredible feeling. And I thank everyone at Lister House for what they did, especially the volunteers as well as the staff. But if there's delay, I think it will be a short delay. There's this worry about the Indian variant. I think we're supposed to call it Delta variant now, but there's a worry about that. The government have got to be cautious, because what we don't want to happen is to open up again and then we all have to lock down, God forbid. But I'm hopeful that if there is a delay, it will be short rather than the long one. But in essence, we have got an open society at the moment. We're talking like this. You'd have done this on Zoom a few weeks ago with me. I'm back in the workplace, back in Palm, where I belong, and so things are opening up.
And finally, 20 years ago, 2001 general election, did you consider that a moral victory, even though you lost? That was your first time fighting Harlow.
Yeah.
What's your key memories of 20 years ago?
Well, the key memory is that I was a young sprog, and I made a lot of mistakes. As a parliamentary candidate, it's hard to believe. And although we cut the majority from Bill Rammell, who I respected a lot as the MP, from 11,000 to 5,000, but no way was it enough to win. But I didn't just leave. I made my home in Harlow, and I stayed and fought. But actually the worst memory is the second one in 2005, where I lost by 97 votes, and there were 3 recounts I didn't hear until the Saturday. And people who are football supporters will remember that it was the day that Chelsea won the league in 2005. And of course, I had a ticket to go to that match, and I couldn't go because there was a recount on the Saturday. So not only did I not win that election, I lost by 9 votes, but I also didn't go to see Chelsea. I had to give up my ticket. I'm very sorry to all the Tottenham and Arsenal supporters in Harlow, particularly the Tottenham ones, who now be very upset with me, but I've been a Chelsea supporter since I was a child. In fact, I have a Chelsea tie on today in celebration of the recent win in Europe. But I'm very proud, because I decided I'd be an MP at the age of 10 years old on a visit to Parliament. It took me 30 years. I got elected in 2010. The people of Harlow voted for me over a number of elections now, and trusted me with 65% of the vote and a 14,000 majority. But as you know, as the people of Harlow know, I will never rest up. I look at it as a majority of one. I work hard every day. I fight for Harlow. I champion hard for Harlow, and that's why I campaigned so hard to get the 24 million pounds for our town, and lots more to come, hopefully.